as you do this, realize that each one of you is on a spiritual journey. This is a journey where you are going to encounter the equivalent of all of the things you've read about in your wonderful reading as you were growing older. You'll encounter knights that are here to help you. You'll encounter dragons that you feel need to be slain. You'll encounter mosquitoes, one of the most difficult things to deal with. But this is a journey. And because it's a journey, I realize that each one of you is rowing your own boat. You're on a spiritual journey in your boat, and sometimes you feel all alone going down the stream. And other times you feel like you're part of a flotilla. And so what I want you all to do is join us, and Janet's going to lead us to kind of wake up that spirit this morning by singing a song we all know. It's called Row, Row, Row Your Boat. And when it comes to gently down the, we're going to say spiritual stream. Can you do that? You say spiritual stream? You might want to open your eyes for this. And Janet, let's do it. All right. Row, row, row your boat gently down the spiritual stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Let's go again. Row, row, row your boat gently down the spiritual stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Row, row, row your boat gently down the spiritual stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Row, row, row your boat gently down the spiritual stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Okay, yay! Row, 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 row your boat down the spiritual stream. Stream, we're rowing down the spiritual stream. Yay! I saw Judy singing. I saw some other people singing. Thank you so much. I realized that we were not singing because we could only sing the songs that were in public domain. And I was going to be talking about your moving down the stream and how you were getting out of chaos today. And I thought, well, you're rowing our own boat. And thank you so much, Janet. That was wonderful. So now that we've got you in your own boat, I'm going to pass this over to Janet. So could you do just a nice meditative song for us to be in our own boat and close your eyes and feel that slight motion. Don't get sick. Feel that slight motion of being in your own boat, however small or big. This is your spirituality, and you're sitting in the middle of this boat in the vast, vast ocean of reality.
Fill our hearts with tells us who we are, and the star shines on the river in the twilight of our sleep, and all that we hold precious will make our world so deep, and we hold it gently like a fledgling and open our hands to fly, and we are riding the river of our lives. We are riding the river of our lives. We are riding the river of our lives, and we are whole, we are tender, we are strong, and we thrive. We are riding the river of our lives, and the gentle drop of our spirit takes us to the infinite ocean, and we stand in our gentle power of our being, and the healing flows out like a river in our world as we flow down the river of our lives. Oh, we flow down the river of our lives, of our lives, and our souls, like a star shines, and we flow down the river of our lives.
And just hold on to that mental picture of you in your wonderful boat of life, and see yourself flowing, not stuck behind some rocks or tangled in roots of a tree, but flowing freely. You are the captain of your boat, and this is your life. Thank you so very much, Janet. That was a wonderful way to take what I said and put it to music. You do that so beautifully every week. I don't know how. Hello there. Good morning, Aileen. This is one of those things that to me is a miracle. How somebody can walk into a room, find out what you're going to be talking about, and putting it to music. I mean, it's like, oh, my goodness. Thank you so
How do you
very much.
remember all that?
Yeah.
I mean, as she talks, I
don't.
as she's going through it, it's like, I don't remember, you know, it's like that stuff back there, right? Too much being in the now, maybe. It's like every word, it's like, oh, that word, I don't know.
It's
Well, I
wonderful.
really believe Dottie helps me, by the way.
Oh,
You know,
thank you.
I mean, I really believe we do it together.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Well, I want to talk about what happens when that little boat of yours is caught in a whirlpool, or is caught in what I call chaos. So many of you,
When do we get to scream?
like, this is not an amusement park ride. Your life is not, hopefully it's not that, but anyway, when you think of it, have you ever get caught up in the chaos and ask yourself, what's the point of life? Why am I here? Why is this blankety blank happening to me? Whatever you might want to say. Why? Why doesn't the world just calm down? Why are those countries at war? Why? And you bring it in. What are you going to do to change it? You've heard me say this before. How are you going to change it? The first change you need to make is within yourself. How can you expect other people to calm down if you're not calm? But when you're caught up in that chaotic mess of your what if brain, you find yourself kind of either bashing against the shore or get stranded on the rocks. But you're not moving safely or cautiously or carefully through the river of life. So I want you to think about that. Because some people, it's not even, oh no, where am I going? What they're so worried about is they're getting old. Now, do you know of a single river that worries about its age? Maybe Old Man River. But even Old Man River keeps on rolling along, doesn't it? Think about that. Why are you worried about things you can't change? There's no way that you're going to change getting older. Now, you can do a lot of good exercises and change your diet. You can start using prayer. You can start doing so many different things to get out of the chaos. But so many just want to sit there and dwell. I don't know how many of you are on Facebook, but it seems like the majority of the people are complaining about something they have no control over, but they just want to hear themselves talk. Think of how you're going to get out of that chaos, because, you know, it's an utter state of confusion when you see yourself in chaos. It means you're just really confused about what's going on. And so I want you to think of, instead of being upset constantly about the chaos, start embracing it and say, yep, that's the way life is. You'd be surprised at the difference. If you see somebody saying something, or you hear somebody saying something, and it makes you so irritated, you don't have to jump in and make them wrong. You can embrace it, that's who they are. I have a feeling that many of you feel that if you tell that person they're wrong, they're going to change. Well, I'll tell you what, they aren't. They're going to feel you're wrong. And that's where the chaos starts, is when two or more people make each other wrong. And pretty soon, it gets chaotic, and more so, and more people get involved. And that, just two people have started what could be a war. And you think of, oh, well, it couldn't do that. Yes, it can. When you start looking at all the chaos that we have around us, and you start overthinking things. You'll be in the grocery store, I've seen this happen, and somebody bumps your cart. And you go, why'd you do that? What happened here? They did that. They didn't mean to. Embrace it. Embrace your cart got hit. You're perfectly fine. And that is just a minor thing that happens, where people get so upset over the minutia, and all of a sudden, just think of the river again. If the river stopped at each rock in its path, it would never flow. It has to keep going over the rocks, around the rocks. And so when you think of it, what you can do and how you can get into that flow, I know this last July, I got caught up in, oh, I want to do this, and I want to do that, and I want to do this, and I was just really upset that things weren't going the way I wanted to. The chaos was within me. Well, then I pulled in Ed, and then I pulled in Corky, and then I pulled in Janet, and I kept saying, we've got to do something. I don't think that where we are right now works for us. And I'm just unhappy, and I don't know what to do. And I thought, I'll pray on it. And what I got, the answer was, why don't you stay home? Okay? And I went, that's a good thing. We'll Zoom it and invite people into the house. And that's what happened. Instead of, I could have gotten more angry and more upset, more chaotic, brought everybody into the chaos when they're all running around saying, well, Dottie's allowed to have it because blah, 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 blah. And it would have just become a negative mess. But you have to stop. You embrace the chaos. You say, yep, it's difficult. And then you decide to calm it down. You stay home. Or you stop worrying and think about how you can do this. Prior to accepting chaos, I kept wondering why things kept happening to me. And then one day I realized things happened to everyone. It wasn't just me. And I decided, if I stop thinking they're just happening to me and I embrace it, things like this happen to everyone, I'll be able to accept that my path is not that difficult. I can keep walking it. And because life is unpredictable. So many people, especially when you're real young, you think you know everything. I don't know how many of you at 16 thought you knew everything. I didn't. If you didn't, did you at 18? There's some point in life where people think they know everything and their parents know nothing. And then they start looking at that and they realize their parents were fairly smart. Or sometimes their parents shouldn't have had children. There's all these things you can come up with, but don't keep blaming people and making them wrong. That becomes part of the chaos. Because you can't control it. When anything's chaotic, the only thing you can control is yourself. So when you think of how do you focus on things you can control, you let go of your ego. Not completely. Your ego is what keeps you getting up in the morning and taking a shower. But that ego that says, you've got to be right, that's when you're part of the chaos. So look at when you can start letting Spirit help you. And when I say that, I mean it seriously. All of you are spiritualists. That's what you've proclaimed. I'm a spiritualist. So let Spirit help you. I've heard people screaming at stoplights. Have you ever seen a stoplight change just because you wanted to? And then they get so angry they start blowing their horn, and then somebody else has to add to it because they're angry because this guy's blowing his horn, and it becomes chaos. Over what? The inability to change the things you aren't going the way you want them to. Well, I hate to tell you this, but not everything's going to go the way you want it to. There's no right path. There's just the path you're on. And you make it right for you. But you can't change it for everybody else. So stop trying to figure out the future and create moments of working on things. And how do you do that? You'll feel better doing something than not doing something. For instance, if you're really upset about something and you don't want to get into the chaos, decide what is it you can do to make yourself feel better. Unfortunately, my food of choice is usually in chocolate. If I get to feeling down or depressed, I'll grab some chocolate. Some people smoke a cigarette. Some people smoke a joint. Some people get drunk. Whatever. But don't make them wrong. What they're trying to do is stop that chaos in their head. This is the way they deal with it. So when you look at the chaos around you, say, what am I doing in my head to cause me to be a part of the chaos? When I was living in Lancaster, you hear me talking about it, managing apartments, had a great job. And I thought, I'm going to be 30 pretty soon. This has been a while ago. And I want to see the country. Just out of the blue. I heard people that were from all these different states. When you live in California, you meet people from all these different states. So my husband, Sam, came home from work, and I said, let's go travel. And he said, oh, I don't know. Can we afford it? And I said, sure. And I said, the kids are 5 and 3. They're not in school yet. This is the only time in our life we're going to be able to have the freedom to just travel. So he said, let's go look at trailers. So we went and looked at little travel trailers. We bought a brand new car. And we took the money that we had left and put it in an account for my mom. So wherever we were, we could get a hold of her and she could wire it to us. And we decided, okay, we're going to travel. Everybody said we were stupid. We were crazy and we were gonna resent this. This is the dumbest thing they'd ever heard. We were gone for a year. And when we came back, guess what people said? Isn't that wonderful? Where did you go? Did you see Niagara Falls? Yeah. Did you see the Grand Canyon? Yeah. Yeah. And they were just, you're so lucky. Luck had nothing to do with it. What we wanted to do was start our life, not based on chaos, but based on what we wanted to do and move forward. And every one of you has that dream, that wish within you. But it gets stopped by that chaotic mind that says, you can't do that, you're too old, you can't do that, you're too broke, you can't do that. Stop that, you can't. That is one of those chaotic things that happens. Because when you stop the chaos, you become a better person. You start focusing on who you are, what you want, where you're going, because each one of you is made for bigger things. What is the bigger thing in your life that you truly want? Do you want to start a company? Start a company. Do you want to travel? Travel. Do things. Don't just sit and wish you could. Because the chaos in your mind says, well, if you travel, what happens if you have a blowout? Well, if you travel to another state, you're not going to know anybody there. What if? And we get all this chaos, this what if chaotic stuff going, and it immobilizes you. So what you want to do is when those you can't, just tell your brain, yes, I can. Calm yourself down. You don't need to live by fear. And the you can'ts are part of the chaos in your mind. And if it feels insurmountable, it's kind of like eating anything, looking at anything, starting anything. Take it a little bit at a time. For those of you who know, I had 3.5 weeks where I couldn't swallow. The only thing I could swallow was something like water, but with a little bit more viscosity to it. Like I could swallow apple juice, but I couldn't swallow plain water. And they did every test known to find out what was wrong with me, because Corky saved my life. I had started choking and I couldn't stop. She gave me water. I took a drink and it came out the sides of my mouth. And at that point I realized I couldn't breathe through my nose either. And I was just so scared. Talk about chaos. My body was in chaos. And she said, she jumped up, went and got a chair, put it in the middle of the living room, said, lean over, and started pounding on my back. Kind of a modified Heimlich. She only had one arm. The other arm was in a sling. And this is what she did. And the most glorious sound was me kind of, and being able to swallow. But I realized that so much of what was going on in my life had really kind of stopped me. It was pretty chaotic. But the lesson was slow down. Enjoy your food. Enjoy your life. Don't eat so fast that stuff gets caught in your throat because it's going to stick there. Great lesson in how to manage life. And when I went to see the doctor finally for my final checkup, he said, I've got some medicine and what it's for is to help you to swallow. I didn't know they had medicine to help you swallow. And so I started taking it, and now I just finished a bagel with cream cheese, raisins, and nuts. I mean, that's, that's quite a bit of a difference from a month ago. Oh, I've got balloons, thank you. And so, think about that. What is it in your life that's slowing you down? Listen to it and say, okay, I'm not going to get so upset about it. I mean, I'm looking at many people here who have gone through surgeries or have gone through different scares over the year. And they didn't let them keep them down. They're bright and shiny. They're up and being happy about life.
We're survivors.
Because when you're into spirituality, you survive. You realize the Creator is there for you. Whatever you want to call Creator. That is the essence that's in us all. And we can look for it and help us move forward. Let chaos make you feel grateful. You go, I was able to combat that. I had all these negative thoughts. And negative thoughts can be about anything. I was talking about my son who was coming here from Virginia, and he has a completely different political views than I do. And somebody says, how do you get along? I said, we get along beautifully. We love each other. We're not bringing chaos into this relationship. And I'll hear him say, you don't talk about that around Mom. And I thought, huh. And I never told him not to. He just is really good on feeling the energy. But he doesn't want to have chaos in the family. So start looking at letting chaos make you feel grateful, because you'll realize how great a life you have when you wake up and appreciate who you are. Instead of being upset with who they aren't, appreciate who you are. Because chaos can be transformative. Look at some of the things. How many times have you driven by an accident on the road? Now that's chaos. There's people standing outside of cars. Cars are bashed up. There's police running around, sometimes even a fire engine or an ambulance. And what is your first reaction? Mine is always to send blessings. I go bless you and say prayers for everybody I can see. I pray for the firemen. I pray for the policemen. I pray for the firefighters. I'm sorry I get into gender roles when it comes there. But what I'm doing is looking at the chaos and saying, what can I do? Instead of saying, oh my, oh that's awful. I'm so glad it wasn't me. I just say, let's do the best I can with what I have right now, moving past it, and bless them and bless their spirits. I have at one time seen a car came over an overpass and crashed. And what it was a PG&E truck, and it crashed a car underneath it, and it killed the woman that was driving the car. And the driver of the truck, the PG&E truck, had an incident. He was diabetic, and he hadn't done his insulin that morning, and he passed out. And the next thing he knew, he was upside down on the freeway. Well, this was something that I had heard about. I'd talked to the mother of the daughter who was killed. And she said, I don't know what happened. And I said, it was just a chaotic thing that happened with your daughter and with him. And have you talked to her? And she said, well, she came to me and said she was okay. I said, believe her. Don't get caught up in the negativity. Believe your daughter when she tells you she's okay in spirit. That's where there's so much chaos and pain and anger and hurt and loss that you don't realize you're caught up in that whole chaotic mess. When that happens, take time, however you pray, to pray either for someone who it's happened to, for yourself, or for your family. And you'll find that it's transformative. You can go on with your life after you felt that there was something you could do. And so when you think about it, there are so many times when you want to hold on to things that were so chaotic that you get depressed and angry and frustrated. Use it as a transformer. Let you transform through it so you can be that guiding light for the people who it's actually happening to at the moment. Our wonderful Janet, Reverend Janet Childs, she works at helping people through these types of incidents all the time. She's on call to go out. Well, I've been at places with her when she gets a call and she says, I have to go, there's been a shooting. She doesn't say, oh no, there's been a shooting. Oh no, I don't know what's going to happen. Oh no, this is horrible. No, she gets into what she can do about the chaos, not what it's doing to her. And we know she doesn't just ride through these. She feels it. But those feelings, everything else has to back up. So she can go where the chaos is the most. And she handles it. It's a beautiful thing to watch when people don't get caught up in the chaos from themselves. Because things have a way of working out. There are things that you feel like you'll never recover from. How many of you, raise your hand, have you ever had something happen you thought you'd never recover from?
Yes.
Anybody?
Yes.
It could be a divorce, it could be a death, it could be there's so many things that could happen to you. And you thought, oh no, I'll never recover.
Julie's got her hand up.
Yes.
Unmute yourself, Julie.
Julie, unmute yourself, you had your hand up. Did you want to say something? No.
Ed, can you help her? There you go.
I got it. You told me to raise my hand if I'm interested.
Oh, thank you. Okay, that's what you were reading. Okay, we can just see it moving, so thank you.
You want to? Do you have a comment?
Never mind.
Okay, and going with this flow of chaos, life is amazing. I think some of the greatest times I've had was when Corky and I started creating a new business. I mean, that's so much fun. You figure out where you're going to have it. You figure out what you're going to do. And you get caught up in that excitement. It's kind of like a new child, giving birth to a new child. You get caught up in all of that excitement, or you can gripe and complain. Oh, I don't like this. I don't know why. I don't know why they do it that color. I don't like the carpet. No, just get in there and say, hey, this is new. This is exciting. And go with the flow. Because for me, let's just do it. I remember I said I wanted to travel. Well, in my lifetime, taking groups, I couldn't afford to travel to England. So I put together a spiritual group. The first group I started out with was 8 people, and I took them to Sedona. And then they started getting bigger. And trips to Shasta. The biggest one I did was 117 people to the digs in Mexico, in Tulum and Cobá and Chichen Itza.
Wow.
And so there's so many places you can go. Find a way to put it together, because the moments came up when we were in Stonehenge, when I just looked around at all 45 people. And we had made sure they all had a navy blue cloak to wear. And they're all in cloaks, and they're all around the stones. And it looked like we had a druid meeting. It was so amazing. And we're all excited about being there. People are hugging the stones. We're doing ritual. And all of a sudden we hear this voice, come get me. And we look, and we all looked around, and we hear, come get me.
I'm here.
I'm here. And this man is out in the middle of the field next to Stonehenge with his arms up, and it was a full moon, saying, come get me. And the guards came over and said, he does that every equinox.
He got abducted by aliens one time.
Yeah,
And now,
just one time he got abducted by aliens, he said, and he wanted to go back. And so the guards, one of the stones had fallen. Wow. And the guard just sat down and said, oh, well, as soon as a cloud goes past the moon, he'll shut up. I thought, what could have been a troop maneuver, and they went out and got the guy and put him in handcuffs and dragged him out. They just said, okay, that's who he is.
yeah, he comes out, he drinks meat, he howls at the moon.
Howls at the moon. And just come get me.
Sounds like my kind of guy.
Well, he's harmless.
He's like, I'm done with this chaos.
Exactly. And we all talked about that. I mean, we enjoyed Stonehenge and we enjoyed the camaraderie, but it was always any time we got together as a group. Remember that guy? Annie, were you on that trip with us? Annie?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I was.
Yeah.
It was an amazing trip. It was great. And I remember that guy so well. It was a ton of fun.
Yeah.
Yes, and where is that? Because it was foggy, so we couldn't. see him, but we could hear him.
the distant voice. And
I
so,
don't think he was inside the circle either. I think
No,
he was outside in the perimeter, yes.
Yeah.
But why, when you think of, when I talk about Anna going with us, a lot of people were there. But it was like an amazing get-together when we were in Stonehenge. That just a whole thing and a whole feeling when we got to Glastonbury and all the places that we went. We sang songs on the bus. We sang the wheels on the bus. We sang, okay. But how did that get together? It got together because I wanted to travel. And I thought, if I want to travel, I bet other people want to
that
travel.
song, This Little Light of Mine, when, like cows in the middle of the road, and we're gonna let it shine, there's cows in the middle of the road. Whatever was going on, but you sang about it.
And people say, well, wasn't it chaotic? Oh, yes, it was chaotic. 47 people that you're wrangling, and one of them lost their passport. She lost her passport in Greece,
Yeah.
and that we had to go to the American Embassy, and we were on Crete, and the American Embassy was in Athens, and she had macular
that was-
degeneration and couldn't see that well.
Oh, wow.
So Corky had to get on the plane with her because we had to get it that Friday because Monday was Columbus Day. And Columbus Day was celebrated in Athens, Greece, because it was the American Embassy.
Yeah, the Greek people didn't care, but the
The
Americans.
Americans did. So, and this could have been chaotic. But we found out what the number was on her passport, got it all taken care of. They were back that afternoon.
And what is the number? It's the number that you, when you received your
Passport. It was the day you
passport.
received your
A number
passport.
that you wouldn't know unless you had your passport.
Yeah.
Not like your birthday or.
Right.
You know.
And since she didn't have her passport, she had taken a cruise the year before. I got a hold of the cruise line, and they gave me the number of her passport. Talk about
Wow.
it just went step by step out of that chaos. But there again, going with the flow is so important. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't argue. I'm not saying you shouldn't picket for what you believe in, or take out ads for what you believe in. What I'm saying is, don't get caught up in the argument that you wear yourself out. Remember, the other side of an argument always believes as strongly as you do. And their belief is just as strong. That's what causes the chaos. Listen to their side and then make up your mind, but stop worrying about it. Get out of the chaos. You're thinking, yeah, but I can't. Oh, don't stop it. Forgiving what you can't forget. Think of that. How do you forgive what you can't forget? You do.
Who do you forgive?
Many people you know have been through divorce, or have been through when they were little, they were badly treated. Forgive what you can't forget. Just say to yourself, I forgive you. You're not going to erase it from your mind, but forgive them. Because when you forgive them, you forgive yourself. Just discover how to move on.
Just forgetting, just kind of like really forgetting, not really forgiving, but just forgetting.
No,
Okay.
just forgive, because I doubt you're going to forget it. But you can forgive it. Move on. Make peace with painful memories.
Hey, Dottie,
Yes.
I don't know what it is, but something about the way you said it this time made me think you can forgive, if you can't forgive a person, you can forgive the situation.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Forgive the conditions that,
Mhm.
whatever it is that brought it to this horrible
Yeah.
moment.
And you might never forget, but you can forgive. And that's
That's a
where you
good
move
point.
forward. If you get stuck in it, you'll never be able to move on. It's always going to be in your head going, well, they did this and they did that and they did this. And you say, and I release you. And see, this is the magic thing that my spirit guide has told me. If you concentrate on and you say, write it down or think of it and go, I release you. And see the person or the thing, I release you, I release you. And what my spirit guide Ma says is that things said in threes are magical. And so you want to say, I release you, I release you, I release you, or I forgive you. But remember, you're not going to forget. And sometimes it's difficult, but learn to forgive. Make peace with painful memories and create a life that's beautiful again. You're the creator of your life. You're adults. You all create your own life.
Christine has her hand up.
Yes, Christine.
You're making me think about the Course of Miracles, because ultimately we're forgiving ourselves. We are all connected. We are all one. I do admit that I want control. I want to be separate. I want to be right. And I have had to learn, sometimes I'm not going to be right.
Right.
I have learned, I come down to, there are going to be times where I'm just going to have to say to the person, we're going to disagree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and not that they're wrong, just you're going to disagree. Yeah, and you can forgive them. And sometimes it can get silly. Sometimes I go through something and I go to myself, I forgive you're acting so stupid, I forgive you're acting so stupid, I forgive you're acting so stupid, you know? and inside I'm kind of giggling at myself, you know? Yes, but I'm going to forgive him for that stupidity. I might not ever forget, but I'm going to forgive him. And things that your parents did to you, just forgive it. I mentioned to somebody just this last week, when I looked at my birth certificate and looked at my dad's birth certificate and realized he turned 18 the week before I was born. And I always wondered why he was such a unprofessional father, let's say. I mean,
I love that. Professional father.
Immature.
Immature is a great word.
That's a great
Well,
terminology.
because he was a professional, he was an attorney, but he was an unprofessional father. And he treated me like he would a kid sister. He was always batting me around and always being mean to me and all that, and he never was to the other kids. And I always thought, that's not fair. Well, between me and the next kid, he was in the Second World War and came home, because the next kid, there's 10 years difference.
Wow.
In that 10 years, he became a very good dad. And so I had to forgive him, his being so young and immature. I mean, men's brains mature at like 24 and women's at 22. Or I'm making these up. I know the statistics are out there, but they're just a little bit later. But you know, when his brain was a lot more mature, he made an excellent father. So what you do is you forgive, even though you don't forget.
Well,
Yes. Yes, Corky.
Well, as I mentioned before, that sometimes you just feel like you can't forgive something that's so heinous that you just can't forgive it. But if you can get to neutral, if you can just get to zero, so that it doesn't affect your karma and your life and your body
everyday
and
life.
everything.
Yeah.
So if you can't forgive, at least get to the point where it doesn't affect you anymore. And that's where you really need. I mean, that's great, as long as, because you're harming yourself. The more you hang on to the crap of other people that you bring it in, it only hurts you. It doesn't hurt them. You're not teaching them anything. They're not, because I used to, well, how will they know? I have clients that say, well, how will they know what to do in that? That wasn't right and stuff. It's like, it doesn't matter. You're not their teacher.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be their teacher. If they don't know it, they don't know it. And you're not going to teach them that. So what you're responsible for is yourself. And when you get to the pearly gates, and St. Peter's not going to ask you, well, how did you affect other people? Just go up from there. Just go, either be in love or be neutral, but don't get
Caught up in the anger.
in the murk. And
In the murk.
in the murk.
Anybody else have something? Oh, Aileen, go.
And I can say that if we don't forgive the trespasses, it'll definitely manifest physiologically in the body.
Right.
It's
It
like,
is, yep, yep, yep.
it's like, are you sure you wanna do that? Cause it's gonna affect your blood pressure, it's gonna affect your digestion,
Right.
it's gonna affect your sleep,
Right.
etc. And we're gonna have to go through 6 weeks of getting you back in balance again.
Right.
And so it's all about maintaining our spiritual connection with ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
right? So as not to hemorrhage our power
Right. Right.
and let them go on their merry way.
Right.
But you gotta maintain you,
Yes. Yes.
right? So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Hey, Dottie,
Yes.
can I also mention, because I keep thinking about, so I think it's Spirit told me, like, you need to say it, Ruth, okay, fine. When you were talking about, I forgive you for being so stupid, but it also made me think, what are the other things that will irrationally piss us off? Babies acting like babies, like just go the F to sleep, right? They're just a baby acting like a baby. And instead of getting off, it's like, I forgive you for being a baby. You're just a baby.
Right.
Just doing your baby. Or your cats, and you're like, why are you being a criminal right now? I forgive you for acting like a cat. I forgive you for acting like a dog. You know, or whatever it is. Just things that, you know.
You're right.
I forgive you for being a human being. God. I forgive you
Well,
for being a human
and
being.
part of that is how you're being affected by it, and you're putting a name to it and saying that you're affecting me and that you're making me uncomfortable. You know, but that's you. I mean, somebody else might react differently. So it's you know, however you can deal with it.
And
How you
they're
can deal with
yeah,
it.
and they're reacting from what they haven't forgiven. Okay,
It's a big question.
if they feel like they were abused, then it's okay to abuse because they were abusing. And so they'll never forget they were abused, but they can forgive the abuser. And that's so difficult, but it's in all the scriptures of all the religions.
Yeah.
You forgive the abuser, you forgive the what's going on.
And
Or
you do it for
yeah,
And
yourself.
that breaks the
not for them.
ancestral cycle.
Yes, it breaks the ancestral cycle. Yes, Ed.
And another thing, I was also taught culturally, you need to forgive them. And I had a hard time with that. And what I found is through some teachings, the only person I could forgive is myself for having too much of a reaction that was causing me pain.
Right.
Once I forgave myself and tried to settle as much as I could, then the teaching would be, now that you're in a calm, more balanced state of mind, what's the appropriate way to deal with it?
Mm-hmm.
Does it mean you just need to walk away from them? Does it mean you just need to calmly say, when you did this, this is what I felt? That nonviolent NVC or whatever, where you don't make them wrong, you just say, and then they come back and might say, I wasn't intending to take you out, I was just expressing
Just expressing
frustration."
myself, yeah.
So I think if it were me and I could wave a magic wand, it would never be, you need to forgive them. Yeah, I would turn that, you need to forgive yourself first to get settled, and then deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
Let them know and do what you gotta do.
Mm-hmm.
But don't carry an emotional payload
Right, exactly.
into them. They're already probably loaded up enough that they did that in the first place.
Right. Yeah. Anybody on Zoom that would like to say something? Yes, Ann. Annie?
Yeah.
Takes a second to unmute. So sometimes once you do the forgiving and you go through your exercises and you've forgiven yourself, you've forgiven either the person or the circumstance, sometimes we reach that neutral, but years later, something happens that triggers it again. That can happen. And when it does, it's a matter of not immediately going straight into reaction, but to stop again and say, "Oh, I remember when this happened before. How did we get it handled?" And maybe going through the same exercises or finding a different tool to work with as well to put you back into that place of peace. Because I have had circumstances like that where I thought I was perfectly at peace. I had no reactions to the thing at all, and then something happened and it caused a reaction. So I had to stop and say, wow, where did that button come from? And I
Yes,
thought,
yes,
oh,
it's kind of like washing some dishes, and you have to wash them again to get them really clean. You know, sometimes
exactly.
you think for sure that that's gone, but something comes up and reminds you, nope, you still have to clean that out. Good,
Right.
thank you,
Remember
Annie.
to-
Anybody else have
Well,
something?
Oh, Jan was
Gentle
saying,
on
Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do.
Very good.
I also have PTSD. I've been diagnosed, well, I don't know if you have it, but I've been diagnosed with PTSD, and it is a physiological change. It was due to all sorts of wonderful child abuse. Wonderful, that was sarcasm. And in case you didn't know, of course you knew. But there are physiological changes that happen, and it's a good thing that those physiological changes happened, because without them you wouldn't have been able to survive.
That's right.
Right? So you've survived, and that was important. And then afterwards, it takes time, a lot of time, to unlearn some of the survival mechanisms
Right.
that are no longer necessary, or how to like set them aside because I don't need them right now, and then maybe when something else shows up I need them again, but maybe I don't need them. You can just set it aside. And in therapy we did talk about going into like a neutral, where it doesn't affect you so much, so you can move on and not have it just constantly having you hooked in. And they also call them stuck points. What are your stuck points? What are the things that just and you just work on it, just little parts of it, little aspects of it, and not all at once. It's like renovating your house. You don't renovate the whole freaking thing all at once. That would be insane, because then you don't have no house to live in. Well, you gotta live in your house, and your house is your body. And so you need to take your time with it and not get mad at yourself for not forgiving fast enough, or then trying to forgive too fast, unless you never really properly process what happened either. So anyway, all of that.
Okay.
I totally hear what you're saying.
So we have Joyce, and then we have Desmond that want to speak. So Joyce is next, and then Desmond's next.
Good morning, everyone. I want y'all to know that when I came into this life, I came in seeking being accepted by my mother. And I'm very aware of the whole detail. So I'll give you the short version. My mother at the time, Louise King Brown, did not accept me. But she did continue to do what she did in a past life, and that was to physically and emotionally abuse me. And this went on until my mother transitioned from this world. Some sort of abuse, emotional, the physical stopped. My father ended that. But at the age of 24, she left this planet. It was some years after that, after I had been doing forgiveness practices. I did forgiveness practices with my whole family, actually, that was transitioning. And then one day, my mother's essence came to me and said to me, Joyce C., will you forgive me? And I said, I have already forgiven you, Mom. It's okay. And that happened really years after she had left the body. So sometimes it takes a bit. It's not going to be immediate or quick. And that is why it's so important for us to stay the course as to what we know is true for us. And for us to forgive, it doesn't mean that we will feel that someone else has also hurt us and will ask for forgiveness. I learned that one. I just had to do it for me, and it set me free. And that was the peace. I set me free through forgiving my mother. And I just wanted you all to know that we have to get our own personal freedom, and then don't have to be concerned about whether someone else will stay the course or ask for forgiveness. Then you have not forgiven. You're still waiting for someone to give you the go-ahead, yes, and I'm sorry, those kinds of things. Work for it, do yourself. Free you up, and will clear you physically emotionally, and I believe also spiritually on all these amazing levels of who we are as living beings. So I just wanted to share a little of that this morning.
Time to.
So now we have Desmond, and then Joan wanted to make an announcement.
Hey, Desmond.
Good morning. I just been listening a lot to this, and it just brought up a whole lot of things. I grew up like in a cult, so there was a lot of things that happened growing up that kind of you had to deal with emotionally and physically and things like that. But in my experience, I found that there's different types of forgiveness. People have mentioned different ones this morning. There's a forgiveness where you make peace with yourself, and then it gives you the ability to forgive others. And then there's other times where you just have to make that step and forgive someone, forgive someone, and then brings the healing part to you. That brings the healing part to you to forgive. So I mean, forgiveness is not a cookie cutter thing. It's as unique as the experience itself, I think. And I've found that once I've identified what type of forgiveness is needed, it helps me to get to that point.
Thank all of you for your comments. I love this being a church, but also being interactive. It's so often we've gone to church and just had somebody stand up and tell us something, and then that was it. And being able to view your ideas, I think is wonderful. And that's how we get out of the chaos, is when we step forward and don't just are complaining about it, but actually do something like forgiveness, like talking to other people about it. So remember, you're not here alone, but you're a beautiful being. So first off, accept the fact you're a beautiful being, and then realize you're not here alone. I want to thank you all so very much. We're going to pass the basket. And for those of you who are online, if you want to donate money, you can do it through PayPal. And it's safedotty@aol.com. As I mentioned before, we've had some very nice donations this month. And as just about as fast as they're coming in, they're being turned around and sent out again, because we also have a lot of people that are going through a miserable time. So it's not sitting here weighing down Dottie's pockets.
And I think Joan wanted to announce her.
And then
class.
Joan wants to make an announcement.
Okay, thank you. One thing I might mention is that I feel that the number of homeless people is going to increase substantially this winter, and we may need to look at a way of helping and being prepared to do some extra giving around that. So many people, undocumented people, lost their jobs when the $20 an hour pay went into effect. And they while they've always been able to recoup by working at McDonald's, that's no longer an option. So I'm very concerned about the winter coming and homelessness increasing. On another topic,
Just a minute on that topic, Joan. We're going to be putting out a call for blankets and for the homeless. We have somebody who has a camp where they're going to be taking them. So if you decide to come to church on Sunday, you can come to my house. If you have any extra blankets or something that's warm, like socks, but something that's not badly used. And if it's used, make sure it's clean. And then we will be able to pass it on. Thank you so very much. And what else did you have to say, John?
okay, so thank you for that, and we need to make an extra effort about that. Two things that I'm doing right now is I will be rerunning through the bulletin my series on wealth that I wrote a couple of years ago, and I'm going to be reviewing it, updating it, and running it again. Because I know many people missed it at that time. We weren't into that mode so much, and it wasn't a primary interest of mine at that time, although I wrote the articles. So be looking for those. The other thing is my Money Sense program has 4 lessons about how to manage your money and how to invest. And I'll be doing a free introductory class this Thursday at 7 p.m. I'll put the information in the group chat so that you can log on if you want to, and it gives a little bit more of an idea of what we cover. I rely on two philosophies. One is the law of attraction, and the other is a book by J.L. Collins called The Simple Path to Wealth. When we talk about paying off credit cards, saving money, mutual funds and ETFs, and buying individual stocks, the hazards and the benefits. And I'd love for you all to join me. For the 4 classes, it's $86. If you just want to take one class, it'll be $25. And I'm going to put my email, my contact information in the chat so that you can get the information. And I look forward to seeing some of you in this class. It's been a lot of fun and a lot of learning for all of us.
Thank you very much. And thank you all. We're going to have to close now.
Well, Sky says.
And what?
I'm sorry, Sky says, thank you very much for the forgiveness today, and I love you, Mama Moon. And Joan says, so she has a thing for put in the CCL Insights. And Jan, yours said amen a while back about something somebody said. So thank you everyone.
Thank you very much. It's very nice to have you here. I want you all to bless the basket. Just visualize your nice, wonderful hand going over the basket and ask that this be used for the best and highest good for those in need. And so it is.
And so
Thank you so very much.
we give and we receive. We give and we receive. We give and we receive. We give and we receive, and all is whole. And all is whole. And all is whole.
Thank you so very much, Reverend Janet. We're so glad to have you here. Ed, thank you so much for being behind the board in there. That was great. And for you, those of you who found your way to San Jose, Casa del Lago, thank you so much for showing up. We appreciate you. If you've decided you want to be here on Sunday, let us know so we can buy enough bagels. Because for the people here this morning, they're getting bagels and coffee.
Yay!
Love you very much. Talk to you later. Bye now.
Yay!
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.